Hi, my name's Euan and I'm from Scotland and I have an artist project called Magnus. I think from the start I'd always put melody into everything I do, and most of my music listening when I was younger, I would pay attention to the melodies a lot of the time, perhaps more so than the lyrics themselves. I think hearing the direction of the melodic house realm was very inspiring to me, and I just kind of jumped on board that and tried to incorporate some of my influences into it as well. One band that stood out was definitely, when I was growing up, was definitely Muse, and Coldplay, the older Coldplay, the Parachutes and such was another one that was on rotation. So it was between those two actually, mainly. I'd say there's no rule for how I start a track. When it comes to writing my own lyrics, I do try not to focus too much on the details first. So it's just the general vibe, whether that's a synth patch or a couple of layers, bit of atmosphere. As soon as I got a general vibe, I'll go to record a melody. You'll be seeing that in the chorus that we did. Melody first, not focusing on lyrics. It's kind of back and forth. Produce it up a bit, I do some more melodies, produce it up a bit until I think the potential's there, and then I start writing the lyrics. Lyrics are the hardest part for me, so if I can get everything else inspiring into a point where I really want to finish it, I'll then jump on the lyrics after. My favorite part of production is actually coming up with the initial idea, but it's just after I've laid down a few ideas. It's kind of when you get flowing with it. After that initial hurdle, when stuff starts kind of going very easily, that's my favorite part. So it's more ideas than, let's say, production techniques. My least favorite part of production is kick drums. Even with your plugin, the plugin's fantastic, but it just takes so much time to get the right perfect kick. It's just, that's the worst part for me. It's just kick drums, because it takes so long to find the right one, and I think I'm picky, so there's a problem. Not focus on the details too long. Don't stay anywhere for too long and just keep moving. The trick is really not to fall into a loop and not focus on details. Again, with our course, I think I made a point of not doing any effects, any transitions, anything that takes time that you know you can do it later, and just focus on, like I said, not falling into the loop, actually, just pushing forward as much as you can. If you are stuck in the loop, maybe just save it and start another one, I think is the best solution. That's at least what I do. To use your EQ, less just boosting and cutting way more specifically what we call resonant frequencies. Once you start training your ear to cut them out, you almost can't unhear them in certain sounds later along the line. So half of my mixing is cutting out resonant frequencies. It just clears so much space in your mix and leaves so much room for other elements. Just call it surgical EQing and cutting very small notches out of loops, samples, full groups, all of that, just to take any resonances that are out. I think that's the main thing for me. Definitely when I started doing my own vocals, but when they started being good. For years I was trialing at singing and I'd never got training before, never got practice, so it was a rocky start. But once that started clicking, I think that was the turning point for me. If you can try, if you've got the courage to give that a shot, vocals, I really think you should try it. Give it a shot and get comfortable with your own voice. Gain matching. I never used to pay attention to the gain while I was adding effects. Maybe 5 different effects on the track. It would boost or cut the gain and you'd perceive that as better or worse depending. And now I gain match, especially for my more important things like a drum bass or a lead vocal. I make sure that the signal going in is the same coming out post all of the effects, whether there's 2 or 20. You can group all the effects and turn them on and off and A/B them. You really notice the difference when you gain match, because you can then actually objectively hear the change that's been made without thinking that it's better because it's louder or whatnot. In a world of producers, vocals and singing is something that is sought after. And in fact, one of the reasons I started doing vocals myself was because I was so in need of vocals for my records that and I didn't have the connections to vocalists, or I didn't have the finances to pay the fees attached, or sometimes they were coming back and they weren't my vision, etc., etc. But I think that one skill, again, it kind of amplifies what I was saying before. That one skill has pushed me much further than if I had not been doing that. I think it's always been Skrillex, to be honest. I find him great. I think he pushes boundaries a lot and tries a lot of new things. The other one is Calvin Harris, because he's from Scotland. He's cool, and it does a lot of broad genres as well. I think it is these people that do broad genres that definitely inspire me the most. I close my eyes. Anywhere between 12 to 30 hours on a production. Sometimes I criticize myself for working too long on a record, but it tends to be in that area. When it's more songwriting, that can vary between days or hours. It's really, really crazy how much that varies. But production-wise, it can be 12 to 30 hours, I would say. I need you to hold this. Currently, I have a Prophet 6 in front of me right now, right here, and Ableton integrates outboard gear really well. Well, I can answer my favorite headphones. Is the Audio Technica, I think they're called, yes, the M50X. So I've tried loads of other ones. I'm not saying they're bad by any means. I'm not a fan of the open back headphones personally. But yeah, no, those have lasted me a long time. They sound crisp on the highs, and I feel like they have a lot of detail. In terms of monitors, I do tend to trust Adam Audio, because every time I've tried them, I found them to just, I felt very well adjusted to them, no matter what the room was. I'm not a fan of KLKs personally, but I know people are, but I'll throw that in. I'm getting blinded by the sun, by the way, sorry about that.